Hello everybody. Before we begin this recap, I would like to suggest to anyone who is watching this to first watch the movie titled The Collector, as this is part 2. Since some of the characters and story are connected with the first film, you might be a little confused. I have already recapped the first Collector movie in the past, and the link to the video will be in the description below. So without further ado, let's jump into this recap. The movie begins as a wealthy man named Peters is traveling in a car with his daughter Elena. Peters comforts Elena over the death of her mother and tells her he will be with her more. Suddenly, another car slams into them. The film then cuts to an intro. We see a series of television broadcasts that make it clear that the Collector has become publicly known as the most vicious and dangerous serial killer, and a massive police manhunt is in effect. As in the first film, the Collector kills all victims, but spares one, whom he kidnaps. An ex-con named Arkin from the first film is the most recent known victim. We then cut to the present day, a couple of years later after the car accident. Elena and her father have survived the accident, but it did some damage to Elena's ear, and she uses a hearing aid to help her. Elena gets a call from her boyfriend Brian, who tells her that he isn't going to make it for the night out they have planned and promises to make it up to her. Elena then gets a call from her friend Missy, who invites her to a party at a secret nightclub. Elena tries to reject, since she has to study, but Missy tells her to look out the window. Elena sees that Missy is outside with her little brother, Josh. Elena dresses and goes downstairs to find Peters asleep. She puts a blanket on him and sneaks out. The friends arrive at a shady alley and are met by a scary-looking guy. He asks them the password, and Elena tells him it is Nevermore. He remotely opens a small door for them and lets them in. Inside, a huge party is going on. The room is filled with flashing lights, pounding music, and hundreds of people dancing. Elena, Missy, and Josh join in and start to have a good time. Elena finds Missy kissing a random guy and pulls her away. Elena then finds Brian at the party making out with another girl. Upset, Elena punches him and leaves the dance floor. Unknown to the partygoers, the Collector is already inside, standing on a crate panel shaft in the ceiling, wearing his black mask and observing from the shadows. Missy tries to follow her, but Elena goes to the upper level of the building and gets inside a quiet room. Unbeknownst to her and other people, a tripwire has been set a little over beside the door. Inside the room, Elena finds a red trunk sitting in the middle. The trunk shakes, and she hears muffled noises coming from it. Curiously, Elena approaches the trunk and opens it, only for an injured Arkin to jump out and take her down just as a hidden steel spear fires at her. This initiates a series of mechanisms that run throughout the structure of the building and activate a large spinning blade. All the exits of the building seal shut as the spinning blade starts to descend. Brian notices it and starts to run through the crowd. The spinning metal blade descends from the ceiling, slicing through the crowd in seconds, including Josh, who gets killed before he even reacts. Brian manages to survive with only his finger cut off. Dozens of people are killed instantly as panic erupts. Upstairs, Arkin asks Elena for help, but she is frightened and runs out of the room. Arkin has managed to take her hand bracelet and uses it to escape from his chain. The rest of the survivors, including Brian, run upstairs. The survivors run until they step on the tripwire beside the door, initiating thin swords to fling out of a hallway, hitting Brian in the back and another woman in the neck. The rest of the survivors, including Missy, get downstairs and try to escape through the main door, but the Collector traps them inside a cage. Elena gets downstairs and finds her friend trapped. The Collector then activates another trap, which starts to lower the ceiling of the cage. The people inside desperately try to hold it, but it is too strong. The ceiling starts to crush the people inside, and Elena can't help but watch as Missy gets slowly squashed to death right in front of her eyes. She then sees the Collector staring at her, and she runs away. She runs back to find Arkin removing the wood from a window to make an escape route. Before she can join him, the Collector appears behind her and takes her away. Arkin uses barely alive Brian to break the window and jump out. He falls on a car, breaking his hand in the process. The Collector puts Elena in the red trunk and locks her inside. He looks out the window at Arkin, and Arkin stands up and runs away. The Collector puts Elena in his van before he drives away. Arkin gets taken to the hospital and is being treated when police burst in and handcuff him to the bed. Arkin ends up passing out. He experiences nightmares from the first film when the Collector tortures him. When he wakes up, he finds his wife Lisa by his side. They reunite, and Arkin sees a flower there. He says she didn't have to bring him flowers, but Lisa says she didn't. They find a card with the flower that reads, "For the collection. Get well soon. Can't wait to meet the family." Arkin tells her to take their daughter and go to her mother's place immediately, and warns her not to tell anybody. Later, a cop takes a turn watching Arkin before he lets a man in and closes the door. Arkin says he has already told what he knows to the police, but the man says he is not with the police and introduces himself as Lacello. He tells him that he works for a man whose daughter has gone missing and shows him the picture of Elena. He asks Arkin to help him track down the collector and rescue Elena. Arkin asks what makes him think he will be able to rescue Elena, and Lacello tells him he is ready to do things that the police don't. He explains that he has assembled a team and plans to kill the collector. Arkin then agrees to help him. Lacello then informs Peters, who orders him to bring Elena alive no matter what. We then see a flashback to the day of the car accident. Elena is trapped inside the car as the car begins to catch fire. Peters tries to help her, but he is injured to do so. Suddenly, Lacello breaks the window and rescues her. Back in the present day, Elena wakes up inside the trunk. She finds a small opening and looks through it to see a chained man lying on an autopsy table. He asks Elena for help before the collector comes to the room. He picks up a syringe and injects the man with some kind of substance. The man starts to scream and shakes violently. The collector then picks up a pair of scissors and cuts the man's tongue before putting it inside a glass. He staples a mask on the man's face and pushes him out of the room. Elsewhere, Arkin meets Lacello's team. The team includes Lynn, Wally, Dre, and Paz. Arkin makes it clear to Lacello and his team that he is only there to help them get there and will not go inside with them. Lacello asks him how they can find him, and Arkin starts at the beginning when the collector first abducts him and puts him in the red trunk. He made sure to cut his forearm every time they got to 100 and made distinct cuts when the collector turned right or left. Arkin warns them to be very prepared because they are going to the collector's house, and if he catches them, he is going to make them wish they were dead. Arkin starts to guide the crew to the location and arrives at a huge abandoned hotel in a desolate part of town. The mercenaries gather their weapons and make their way to the hotel. Lacello asks Arkin to pick the lock of the door, and Arkin says he will get them in, but will not come. Meanwhile, Elena uses her bra to push through the hole in the red trunk, enabling her to grip the latch and escape from inside. There, she finds another trunk and hears tapping noises coming from inside. She opens it only to find a dead man inside tapping on the trunk due to nerves. There are also several gutted, dead bodies lying around on autopsy tables. Before Elena can escape from the room, the collector returns, and she quickly hides behind a shelf of insect collections. The collector notices her escape, so he lets loose several spiders, hoping this will reveal her hidden location. The spiders start to surround her as they get on her body and face. Before she can make a sound, the collector gets distracted by the surveillance alarms triggered by the team of mercenaries. He quickly leaves the room, giving Elena a chance to free herself from the spiders. She tries to leave the room, but the collector has locked it. She looks for a way out and manages to find a drain grate and escapes through it. Arkin manages to pick the lock and open the door. But before he can leave, Lacello double-crosses him and forces him at gunpoint to guide them through the hotel, since he is the only person who knows the inside of the hotel. Having no choice, Arkin guides them inside, and Lacello orders Lynn to watch the door. The collector monitors the mercenaries through his surveillance cameras before he puts his mask on and goes out to hunt them. The team makes their way through the lower part of the building when they see something moving. Lacello orders Arkin to go first. They find numerous cages there, as well as multiple needles scattered on the floor. Outside, Lynn is guarding the exit when he is suddenly attacked by the collector. The collector drops him to the ground and stabs him until he is dead. Lacello tries to connect to Lynn through the radio, but Arkin is suddenly attacked by a man with a half-faced mask stapled to his head. He tries to defend himself until Paz shoots the man in the head. They take off the man's mask and see that the man has been drugged out of his mind to the point that he becomes like a zombie. Arkin says that the collector turns people into his dogs if they don't do what he says. The group then sees a pile of chopped-up bodies there. The collector is watching them from above, and he unlocks a cage there, which releases multiple other drugged people, forcing the team to shoot them down. But their guns are not enough as hundreds of drugged people still come at them. The team manages to find a way out and escapes the room. Wally tries to call for backup, but there is no signal. They hope that someone will hear the shots, but Lacello says no one will come to where they are because they are on the outskirts of the city where no one lives. Elena continues to move through the drain grate and finds a way out. But before she escapes, she gets startled by two vicious dogs, forcing her to keep moving. She finally manages to find a way out and arrives at a room filled with makeup and dolls, and another trunk in the middle. A woman talks from inside, begging Elena to let her out. Elena opens the trunk, and a woman named Abai comes out. She has been face-painted and dressed to look like a doll. Abai tells her that the collector did this to her. Elena asks her for a way out, but Abby insists they don't leave the room. Elena manages to convince her to leave the room, and they start to make their escape. The team continues to move when they find many other trunks. Suddenly, a scarred man appears begging for help. The team holds him at gunpoint and orders him to stand where he is. He cries as he says that he didn't make it. Lacello asks what he didn't make, and the man says he didn't make it to the collection. He screams that neither of them will make it before a bomb on the back of his head explodes. Then 3 spikes fall from the roof and impale Dre, killing him. While the team is distracted by Dre's death, Arkin takes the opportunity to escape from Lacello. He escapes through multiple other traps as the team looks for him. Arkin then arrives at a room. The light there flickers on and off. The collector suddenly appears behind him and starts to get closer to him. He tries to grab him, but when the light flickers back on, Arkin is gone. Elena and Abby make their way through a hallway. Elena tries to get into one room, and Abby stops her before she steps on a tripwire. Abby says that the collector likes her. Elena asks what she means by that when her hearing aid screeches. Abby notices this and says that she is not going to make it to the collection as she has a hearing problem. She starts panicking and screaming, saying that the collector is trying to test her. The collector then appears, and Elena runs away as Abby stays. He doesn't touch Abby, but instead goes after Elena. Elena runs through a series of maze-like hallways as the collector chases her. She manages to hide from the collector by climbing up on the pipes of the building. She slowly starts to back up when she bumps into something and makes a noise. The collector hears this, but before he catches her, he gets distracted by Arkin trying to open a door from a distance. The collector gets on the pipes, but Elena is already gone. Arkin looks for a way out when he hears footsteps approaching. He gets inside a chute that leads downstairs to the pile of bodies and closes it. The footsteps are revealed to be Wally's. He tries to open the chute, but Arkin holds it. After Wally left, the wood Arkin was holding breaks, and he fell down on the pile of bodies. The drugged people start to come at him, and he uses a rope there to get back up. Arkin then finds a room filled with multiple different animals' collections inside a glass. He gets deeper into the room and finds human body collections. Numerous skeletons and chopped-up body parts have been kept inside a preservative glass. Arkin finds the front door, but it is sealed shut. He then hears a woman's cry and goes to investigate. He finds a woman with her hands and legs nailed to a wall. She begs Arkin for help, but the collector returns. Arkin hides as the woman begs the collector for mercy, but the collector slits her throat and kills her. Elena is still trying to find a way to escape. She passes a series of booby traps before she reaches a room with a little opening. Through the opening, she sees 2 people standing outside in the distance. Elena tries to call for help, but they are too far away to hear her. Arkin continues to move on after the collector left. He finds a room filled with disturbing images before he suddenly gets attacked by Lacello and his team. They try to arrest him, but Arkin sees the collector coming from above with a hook. He tries to warn them, but they put him down. The collector uses the hooks to impale through Wally's face and uses him as a pulley to get down. Lacello tries to shoot him, but the collector slashes his face before he knocks Paz down and grabs her leg with a wire that drags her away. He picks up their rifle and escapes using Wally's body as a pulley again. Lacello and Arkin try to go after Paz, but the room she is in is locked. Arkin tells Lacello that they have to work together if they want to get out alive, but Lacello says he is not going to leave without Elena. The two are then found by Abby, who claims to know where Elena is and offers to help. She starts to lead them to Elena when they hear Paz screaming from the other room. Elena also hears her scream, and it is revealed that the collector is making her scream into a mic as he tortures her. Arkin and Lacello go to check it out and find the screaming is coming from a shady room. Lacello guesses that it is going to be another trap and tries to leave, but Arkin tells him that they can't leave her like this. Lacello agrees and goes to rescue Paz. They get into the room where the screams are coming from, but the doors around them seal shut. There, they find multiple mannequin dolls everywhere, and Lacello tells Arkin to stay with Abby while he checks it out. Lacello goes deeper into the room and starts searching for Paz. Arkin sees a glass and a wire coming under the glass, going all the way to the room Lacello is heading. Elena is also looking to rescue Paz. Lacello finds the room where the screams are coming from, but it is just a speaker and the body of Lynn. Arkin screams that it is a bomb, and Lacello sees that a bomb has been strapped to Lynn's body. He runs back as Arkin breaks the glass where the wire comes from and makes an exit. Bombs go off around, but Lacello manages to escape and gets back to Arkin and Abby. Elena manages to find Paz inside a trap and frees her just as Lacello and Arkin find her. She reunites with Lacello before she tells them that Abby is not to be trusted. Lacello calms her down, and she leads them to the room where she finds an opening. Arkin sees the 2 people outside and asks Lacello for his gun, but Lacello is hesitant to give him since that is the only gun they have, and they have only 2 bullets. But Arkin asks him to trust him, and Lacello gives him the gun. Arkin aims and shoots one of the men in the leg to grab the attention of the police. The collector hears the shot and quickly goes to his surveillance room to see cops arriving outside. Arkin uses the last shot to fire at the cops to let them know where they are. The cops call for backup, and the collector sees this. He grabs a rifle and goes to kill the team. Arkin says all they need to do now is stay quiet until the cops raid the building. But unfortunately, Abby betrays the team and locks the room, saying she is his favorite. She starts to scream at a surveillance camera to notify the collector. Paz punches her to shut her up, making her step on a board of nails and fall back into an Iron Maiden-like trap, which mechanically folds with her inside, killing her. The building's light goes out before the collector bursts into the room with his two dogs. The dogs run and attack Arkin and Paz as the collector sprays bullets at the team. Lucello covers Elena and gets shot in the shoulder as Paz kills one of the dogs, and the shots from the collector kill the other dog. The collector sees Abby's body and gets angry. He grabs Elena and takes her away. Arkin says they need to rescue her, but Lucello is pinned to the ground with another Iron Maiden trap approaching from above. He tells the group to save Elena and leave him. Outside, a team of SWAT arrives at the scene, ready to raid the hotel. Arkin and Paz find Elena gagged and strapped to an autopsy table. When they try to free her, they get trapped in a cage that falls from above. The collector then appears. He has already set up barrels of flammable liquid and makes it apparent by displaying a flashing lighter that he is going to burn down the building. Arkin tries to rage bait him into fighting him, but the collector lights up the fuse and leaves. They try to open the latch of the cage with a knife, but Paz drops it. The collector starts to douse the whole place with gasoline and sets it ablaze. Arkin then gets an idea and takes off his arm cast and orders them to re-break it. Elena steps on his forearm and re-breaks it. Arkin then uses his arm to slip through the cage's opening and opens the latch. The group gets out of the cage and escapes before the bombs go off. They escape through the chute and get into the lower floor. The bomb goes off and sets the whole building on fire. The group gets to the front door, but the collector comes up behind them and kills Paz easily. Arkin and Elena try to fight back, but the collector overpowers both of them. As the collector is about to kill Arkin, Lucello appears, having survived his trap by using one of the dog corpses. He picks up a knife from Paz's body, and he fights the collector. The collector manages to duck Lucello's strikes and slashes him multiple times. Lucello gives it his all to fight back, but the collector manages to stab him. As a final act, he holds the collector in place so that Arkin can get his knife and get the upper hand. The collector stabs Lucello repeatedly and kills him. Arkin uses chance and stabs the collector in the leg. He starts to beat up the collector savagely across the room. Elena starts to pound on the front door for help. She is heard by a team of firefighters, and they start to cut open the door. Arkin continues to beat the collector up before he throws him down the chute onto the pile of body parts that are now covered in gasoline. Arkin rips a piece of his clothes and sets it on fire before he throws it down, setting the pile of bodies on fire along with the collector. Arkin tries to get back to Elena, but the way is blocked by burning wood. Arkin sits down accepting his fate, but Elena starts to break the glass of the collections all around, flooding the place and giving Arkin a chance to escape. The fire department manages to cut the door open and rescue Elena and Arkin. Outside, Elena reunites with Peters and thanks Arkin. The police manage to get some bodies out of the building, and Arkin goes to check for the collector. But he only finds the collector's burned mask inside one of the trunks with no corpse, indicating that the collector has escaped. Sometime later, we see the collector living a normal life in a normal house. He turns on the radio and goes upstairs, but hears the radio changing. He gets out a knife and goes to check it out. He looks around but doesn't find anyone. Suddenly, Arkin appears behind him with a gun. He tells him that he knows he is a collector, so he searched every registered entomologist within a 200-mile radius from the hotel, and he finds 14 licensed entomologists, and the collector is number 12. He orders him to turn around, and the collector asks if he is going to kill him. But Arkin says he is going to first torture him and make him feel everything he has felt, and then he is going to kill him. The collector tries to attack Arkin, but Arkin punches him and forces him into his red box. The collector desperately clings onto the sides, but Arkin slams the box shut.